Hello, welcome to this week's episode of Geek-Minded Fools. My name's Graham.
And I'm Scott.
We shall kick off, as per usual, with a visit to young Scotland in his monkey farm.
Hey, partners, it's time to see what Scott's doing down on his monkey farm.
Come in.
I'm here. Ding.
Oh, you're making up your own bell now, are you?
I don't even know what that was.
That was the store bell.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Yes, welcome once again, sir, to my absolutely fabulous monkey farm.
What have I
got this week? I've got some sequel news. I know you don't really like sequels that much, do you?
I don't dislike sequels per se. What I don't like is reboots.
Reboots.
When they just take something from before and just say, let's fucking do another one of those. And it's
Well,
like, no, we've already got one of those.
You'll kind of hate the second bit then, because I've got some kind of reboot, kind of follow-on news. And I got a bit of comic news for you as well.
Okay.
All right. Which, as soon as I mention it, you're probably going to know more about it than me, so I might just do some cleaning or do some tidying. I'm sure I've got some stuff to catalogue while you go into that. But anyway, I digress. Trainspotting. That was a good movie, wasn't it?
It was a good movie. I enjoyed it, certainly.
20 odd years ago now, isn't it?
I was going out with a very strange girl when I went to see Trainspotting. She was an agoraphobic and had a panic attack in the middle of the film. We had to leave. She suddenly started going... Everybody's looking and we had to leave.
That's fucking brilliant. You get your money back for the tickets.
No, did we fuck?
Oh dear, that's awesome. I never knew that.
There you go.
That's fucking absolutely awesome. Do you want to name and shame it? Or him? Trainspotting is getting a sequel finally 20 years down the line. Now, the book that followed on from Trainspotting was called Porno, and it followed Renton and Sick Boy and their dream to make, well, porn movies. All your basic characters are back again, it looks like. So you've got Renton, Sick Boy, Spud, Begbie. Don't think Tommy will be coming back, because I believe he died of toxoplasmosis in the first one, didn't he? And apologies for the fucking awful Scottish accent.
I mean, surely though the book was set relatively soon after Trainspotting. Porno would have been set relatively soon, not 20 years after Trainspotting. And therefore, how are they going to deal with the fact that all the characters are going to be looking 20 years older? No,
it's set a fair bit after, I believe.
What, 20 years?
Not 20 years, maybe.
Well, that's my point, sir.
But I mean, the fact of the matter is, look at Johnny Lee Miller and look at Ewan McGregor. They're still quite young looking anyway. All you've got to do is shave Ewan McGregor's head and he'll look like...
And sort of grow a bit more of Johnny Lee Miller's back.
Yeah, there is that. But he hasn't aged at all, because I've seen him in that god-awful Sherlock show. I'm saying god-awful Sherlock show, I must admit. I watched the first episode and I was like, you can't make Holmes a woman. You can't make Watson a woman. That's how much I fucking paid attention to. You can't make Holmes a woman, and then sort of like 7 episodes in, I'm like, you still can't make... Alright, this isn't bad. It's not terrible. It isn't a bad show.
It is good. It's very good. I like it.
I like what Danny Boyle has come out and said.
Oh, Danny
Boyle, the pipes are calling. Yeah. That's what no one sings ever to Danny Boyle, apart from us. They're saying that they obviously can't release it under the title Porno, which I find a bit odd, really. Why they can't release the film and call it Porno.
Zack and Miri.
Oh, yeah.
You will lose a hell of a lot of your audience. You think how much Middle America is very repressed, and people say that the reason that Zack and Miri make a porno didn't do that much, considering it had Seth Rogen, who was absolutely shit hot at that time, was because people would not go and see it, and a lot of places wouldn't even advertise it.
When we saw it in the UK, was it called Zack and Miri Make a Porno?
It was called Zack and Miri Make a Porno.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
it was always released as that, and therefore to release a film called Porno, you're effectively killing your American market, because a lot of areas won't advertise in it, and certainly a lot of areas won't show it, and a lot of people won't see it.
See, now on my journey here today, on the train, I picked up a copy of Metro, and I'm just flicking through it, and the middle page of Metro has got a section called Property Porn. Mm-hmm. So if you can have that in a daily newspaper, the circulation is thousands upon thousands.
Can I remind you what country you're living with?
Yeah, okay, fair enough. So basically, the Americans wouldn't like it.
No.
They don't like the word porn.
Absolutely.
That's a shame, isn't it? Because they are the purveyors of probably most of the porn in the world.
Well, harking back to last week's episode. in the TV film Game Changers.
Yes.
One of the points they were trying to make to him there was, this is America. You can show people getting shot as much as you like, but don't show them an erection. And that is one of the very true things that was said in that movie.
Yeah. Certainly not an erection while you're shooting someone.
Well, whatever floats your boat.
Indeed. But, as I say, I mean, interestingly, he said it's obviously not going to be titled Porno, so it won't carry the same name as the original book. So Danny Boyle said he'd like to call it T2. But he has also said that could cause a few problems, and you may have to beg James Cameron for the right to use it. But I think that'd be fucking hilarious. I'm quite excited because I love Trainspotting. I think it's a brilliant movie.
Superb.
It's a brilliant soundtrack and a brilliant book as well. I did read Porno.
The first half was great. Never saw the rest of it.
Well, of course, no. I did read Porno years and years ago, and I can't really remember it, but I do remember it not actually grabbing me as much as the original book did, not grabbing me as much as Trainspotting did. But we'll see. I'd like to see where the characters are at now. And obviously, Ewan Bremner always needs work, doesn't he? Bless him. But yeah, let's see where that goes. Let's see where that goes. Now, sequels and remakes and reboots and hoo-has and blah blah blah. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about Men in Black coming back?
Had no great love for it to begin with, so do whatever you fucking like.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like we're going to get another trilogy of movies. Sans Will Smith. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's not really a great deal I can say about this because I didn't mind the first Men in Black movie. Couldn't stand the second one. And I thought the third one...
I can't even remember the second one.
The second one was the one that's got Johnny Knoxville in it.
Second one was when... What's his face? Oh no, that was the third one.
The third one is with Josh Brolin.
Yes, that's right. When Tommy Lee Jones has lost his...
Spoilers.
Yes.
We haven't got one of those things.
No, I can't remember 2 at all. So I've obviously blocked it out.
2 was Johnny Knoxville, and I can't remember the actress's name. Very beautiful woman, but not a very enthralling story. Right. Quite dull. Bleh.
The first one was alright, but as I say, I've got no great love for them. So
I mean, I thought they'd already kind of followed on from the Men in Black series with that R.I.P.D. because that was basically Men in Black, but with ghosts, with dead people.
Yeah,
not a terrible film. Not a great film.
Haven't seen it.
I mean, it's not something you need to rush out and watch, believe me, mate.
I have no intention of doing so, sir.
Alongside that, obviously, well, I say obviously, it's not fucking obvious to anyone, is it? But alongside that news, it is to me, because I do the news, sir. I am the news.
You are reading.
You want the news? You can't handle the news! 20th Century Fox are bringing back the much-loved A-Team.
Uh-huh.
Now, obviously, that's already had a reboot of sorts, isn't it?
With the big screen version.
The big screen version in 2010 with Bradley Cooper.
Bradley Cooper.
A bit of a man crush on Bradley Cooper, I must admit. Liam Neeson, Sharlto Copley, and Quentin Rampage Jackson, who, quite frankly, was shit. It wasn't a great film. But they're bringing it back for us TV viewers.
Yeah.
They're doing a TV version, a rebooted TV version. The details are a little bit thin on the ground. I don't know who's going to play who. Pretty sure George Peppard won't be back. Harsh. What, too soon? Do we need it? Probably not. Because, in my personal opinion, they've effectively already remade the A-Team and it's called Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Which I know you might not agree with, but that's when I first watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I kind of thought, this is brilliant, this is like the A-Team. And I did enjoy it, but I just never kept up with it.
It's like anything, they're just chucking as much shit against the wall and seeing what sticks and what people will want to watch. You know, it'll either do Hawaii 5-0 kind of stuff and not be great, but continue to be churned out, or it'll die after one season because everybody hates it.
Was that called Hawaii 5-0, the remake? It was
called Hawaii 5-0, yes.
Did you watch any of it at all?
No, I
didn't either. I mean, I don't even remember the original Hawaii 5-0.
I do, yeah.
I mean, all I can remember is always laughing at the words Steve McGarrett's chopper. That's about it.
Alrighty then.
Was it Steve McGarrett?
It was Steve McGarrett was the main character.
And his cohort was Dano?
Yeah, as in Book Him Dano, Murder 1.
Book Him Dano. Can you remember the tagline for the A-Team?
No.
No? If you have a problem and there's no one else who can help, and if you think you can find them...
That isn't a tagline.
Maybe you can hire the A-Team.
Tagline's like one line.
That's a tag sentence.
You mean the intro to the A-Team?
Well, yeah.
Tagline.
You know, fucking whatever you want to call it. But I always like the bit
where not a tagline is what I want to call it.
I do like it, but I love the little bit where it says, and if you think you can find them.
Yes.
But I don't think I can find them. I won't bother.
Well, because they are underground, of course. They are in hiding, so they're not easy to find.
They are. Fair enough.
You'll have to go to an A-team convention.
An A-team convention?
Yes.
I wonder if they have those. That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. I can't say I'm overly excited about it. I'll probably watch it for a laugh and see what it's like, but...
Yeah.
Do one. Get out, A-team. And finally, we all well know that there's going to be an Independence Day sequel.
Yes.
And apparently Titan Comics are going to release a comic that kind of bridges the gap between Independence Day
First film
and the second film. What's to say? Is it going to be called Independence Day 2?
I've absolutely no idea.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
I mean, you'd think really...
I'm excited to find out.
You'd think really, and me doing the news, I'd check this shit out before I got on air. But
you know...
But I mean, it is only Independence Day.
Isn't it, this whole thing?
It is only Independence Day, or ID4, as it was known.
Which never made any sense.
No, it never made any sense to me.
The ID4 bit.
Yeah, never made any sense to me at all. I mean, obviously I know Independence Day is 4th of July.
Yeah.
I have to know that. It's my fucking birthday.
Yeah.
But yeah, that just doesn't make sense.
So therefore, do they call this one ID42?
Or ID8? Or BB8? I don't fucking
ID5?
ID4? ID5? Oh! Did you like Independence Day?
I fucking loved
Independence
Day. Independence Day is definitely one of my guilty secrets. I remember
secrets?
Yes. I remember going to see it at the cinema, and it is so ridiculously over... How can you not love a film where Randy fucking Quaid flies his plane into the alien mothership in order to blow it up? Not only that, but of course on the DVD, stroke Blu-ray now, but you had the extra where that original shot was him in his biplane. He flew his biplane up into the alien mothership to blow it up. I think, but to me, Will Smith aside, all that fucking bollocks aside, it had Jeff Goldblum in it. Jeff Goldblum playing Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
And I'm all for that.
I love Jeff Goldblum, I really do.
It was a cheesily brilliant film. It was one of those, you know, it was a proper Turkey type film.
Bill Pullman,
so bad you love it.
Is that right?
Bill Pullman, President Bill Pullman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I will rewatch Independence Day because I probably haven't seen it since it came out. But I always get in the back of my head. I always think, it's going to be exactly the same. It's War of the Worlds, isn't it?
And Judd Hirsch plays Jeff Goldblum's dad.
Judd Hirsch from Taxi. Anyway, yeah. I mean, Titan Comics are going to do this story bridger, if you like. So it's going to tell us what's been happening in between the first movie and the second movie, which I imagine is very little. I don't know. I can't really guess as to what's going to go on.
I read something about it being something to do with prison drama or something. So how that's going to fit in, God only knows. But
again, very loose on details. But we like to try and bring you the news here first, even if we don't know the details behind it.
We like to play fast and loose with our news.
We do indeed. We do indeed. Once again, sir, you've been awfully well behaved.
Well, thank you.
Have you got anything you'd like to add this week in the Monkey Farm?
There is no one that I feel needs killing, so no, I have nothing further to add.
Excellent egg. That's it.
Okay.
Out you go.
I'm going.
Goodbye.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling.
Okay.
That was me going. Thank you, sir. And now we shall move on to this week's Quick Hits.
Quick Hits.
And it's you.
It is me, isn't it?
Yes.
My quick hit this week is something very, very silly. It is genuinely very, very silly.
We like silly, though.
And it's kind of at the behest of one of our listeners and one of my very close friends, the lovely Michael Drinkwater, who suggested that I watch this film. And when he told me the title of it, I kind of thought, that sounds like a load of old shit.
I thought, WTF?
I thought, what the frick? I thought that sounds awful. I'm going to love it. This is a little movie called The Cooties.
Okay.
Which has got Rainn Wilson and Elijah Wood. You know, the Hobbit!
I know him.
Elijah Wood plays a substitute teacher who, on his first day as said substitute teacher, goes into school and realises that the school has unfortunately fallen foul to a little bit of food poisoning, which in turn means that all the kids in school turn into bloodthirsty zombies.
Yes.
It's such a brilliantly fun film.
I was looking for some stuff to watch and was going through YouTube, and of course it then says you also watch, and that leads you to something else and something else, something else.
Yeah.
And about 6 or 7 films down the line, it led me to Cooties, and I watched the trailer for Cooties, and it is on my to-watch list.
Oh, is it? Oh, good. I'm glad. It is. It's really, really funny. I have to give massive, massive kudos to Rainn Wilson, who is obviously from the American version of The Office.
And Backstrom at the moment. Okay,
this is another American show, is it?
Yes,
this is a show I don't know.
Which is very good.
And he was also in Super, a movie called Super, I believe.
About the superhero thing.
Yeah, Shut Up Crime,
yes.
that one, which I really enjoyed, which is something I am going to talk about on a future episode. But yeah, it didn't take itself too seriously at all. I mean, how seriously can you take yourself when you've got a film about classes full of children turning into savage zombies? The thing for me that I really loved was the opening scene. The opening scene basically shows from start to finish the process of from chicken to chicken nugget, and it's just brilliantly done. And it shows you this slightly spoiled piece of meat go through the production line and end up being a chicken nugget, all the way down to the final bit with a young girl in the cafeteria biting into it, and this horrible grey pus just oozing out of it. And she's obviously your patient one, the patient
carrier.
Zero, the carrier.
Patient one.
Patient first one after patient zero.
Technically, the chicken was patient zero.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But yeah, it's a brilliant little film. It's got some brilliant lines in it, and I must thank Mr. Drinkwater for bringing it to my attention, because I do feel my life is better having seen it, because it's such a funny film. I can't say too much about it, because it is your basic kind of group of people versus group of zombies movie, and how they get through it and how they escape. Some of the lines in it are just jaw-droppingly funny. In particular, Rainn Wilson trying to explain. Now, this is going to sound really dull when I explain it. You'd have to see the movie to understand it. But he's trying to explain the wheelbase of his car. And he's got this big old American truck that's got double wheels on it. And he can't say the words dual rear wheel. And there's much comedy that comes from that. I really like Rainn Wilson, and I like the entire cast of this movie. They all go hell for leather in trying to kind of one-up each other in the funny stakes, and they do a great job of it. And there are a couple of brilliant little Hobbit jokes as well between Rainn Wilson and Elijah Wood. So yeah, see Cooties, because it is very, very funny. It's chock full of gore and absolutely unapologetic thrills. It's very
excellent. Good. And to all our other listeners, if you have a favourite movie that you would like to have Scott mention as one of his quick hits, for the very bargain basement rate of £20, just contact him via our Facebook page.
Yeah. Failing that, keep it to yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome.
My quick hit this week, I'm going back to my usual wacky little independent type films for a corking little movie that I absolutely adore called Harold and Maude, which was directed by Hal Ashby, came out in 1971.
Before I was born.
Indeed. And has a cracking soundtrack by none other than Cat Stevens. It is peppered with Cat Stevens songs. And it tells the story of a young man by the name of Harold, played by Bud Cort, who, other than this, is probably most famous for the voice of the computer in Electric Dreams, but also playing the first incarnation of God in Kevin Smith's Dogma. So he plays a young man who's pretty miserable in his life and is obsessed with death. There's a lovely scene where his mother, for his birthday, gives him a sports car, and he turns it into a hearse. He puts a hearse on the back of it. He's always going to funerals, and he's constantly faking his own suicide. There's some great scenes where his mother is sort of going around the house, and she walks into a room and he's just hanging there. He's sort of hung himself. And there's a great one where he's just floating face down in the pool, and you just see a very slow scene of her coming in, sort of taking off her robe and just swimming across the pool the whole time, him just lying face down in it next to her. It's absolutely brilliant.
Do you know, I've never seen it.
Haven't you?
I've never seen it.
It's a lovely little film.
It's one that's been often sort of like spoken about to me. Oh, right. You must see it, you must see it, you must see it. But I've never seen it.
And as I say, he loves to go to funerals, obsessed with death, and it's here that he meets Maude, who is played by Ruth Gordon. And Maude is a very eccentric 79-year-old woman who is pretty much the antithesis of Harold. She is full of life, full of the joys, and throughout the course of the film effectively teaches him how to embrace and love life and enjoy it to the full. She drives like an absolute maniac. I mean, there's a classic bit in it. There's this ongoing joke, 2 or 3 scenes with a motorbike cop who's always trying to pull her over for speeding and driving badly. And there's a great ongoing gag there. And there's some lovely bits in it where Harold's mother decides that it's time he got married. And so she starts introducing him to women that she would like him to date. And one by one, he freaks them all out by faking his death. The first one, while she's talking to the mother, he's out in the garden under this rug, pouring petrol over himself. And then suddenly you see her talk to her, and then suddenly she looks out to the garden, and he suddenly bursts into flames, and the girl sort of runs off screw. There's another one where he cuts off his hand to put her off. So it's very sort of quirky and offbeat. And this friendship between Harold and Maud eventually develops into a romance. And it just sort of moves on with the story of the two of them and her sort of trying to teach him to love life, but they're both sort of very quirky characters. And it culminates in a brilliant and sort of very fitting ending to the film. It's one of those films, it's very life-affirming, but in a way it's kind of quite death-affirming as well. It's about not being afraid of death and enjoying life while you're here. And it sort of has special meaning for me because when my wife and I first met, we both worked at the same place, and we would often talk about films and the films we liked. And one film that, I can't remember which was mentioned it first, but we were just chatting one day and we said, and there's a great film called Harold and Maude, and both of us absolutely adored Harold and Maude. And that was one of those early moments as a friendship, you suddenly think, oh, hang on, I've never known anybody else, and that kind of, there was the beginning of our friendship blossoming into something else.
I thought you were going to say she found you in the back garden pouring petrol on yourself.
Well, that probably still to come. But yeah, just a lovely little film, 1971, Harold and Maude. Check it out because it's quirky and wonderful.
Excellent stuff.
There you go. And now we shall move on to this week's main topic.
When they got the ball, you know they won't drop it. The Geek-Minded fools discuss the main topic.
Okay, for this week's main topic, we wanted to talk about a TV series that has very recently finished. But the great news is,
it's just very recently started
again. As soon as season 1 ended, season 2 jumped on our laps, and that is well, as far as I'm concerned, the rather wonderful The Last Man on Earth.
Indeed, sir, indeed. For those of you who missed out on, was it mine or your quick hit a few episodes back?
It was yours.
Well, it was mine, wasn't it? Yeah.
You did it after the first 2 episodes.
Yes. It basically follows Phil Miller after a deadly virus has apparently wiped out all of humanity.
Yes, the year 2020, wasn't it? Yeah, a virus killed everyone, leaving this one man alone on the planet to live his life. Or so he thinks.
So he thinks, indeed. First off, let's just find out, what did you think of season 1?
Season 1 was absolutely superb. It was like nothing I'd ever watched before, in as much as it's a great concept, but it's got such fantastic humour alongside some of the most just god-awful, embarrassing, cringe-worthy scenes with Phil's behaviour, because as he interacts with more people,
he's awful, isn't he?
His behaviour just degenerates. It's the sort of thing that occasionally I would have to pause it to go, no, please don't. No, don't do that. It was a fantastic...
But he never lets you down, does he?
No.
He always does that wrong thing.
Absolutely. He always manages to do the absolute worst thing. And Phil Miller is played by Will Forte, who used to appear on Saturday Night Live. And not only does he play Phil, but he also created the show as well. It all came out of his brain.
It did. It come out of his head box, didn't it? I tell you, the biggest thing that I appreciate about the show is the fact that it is very much an apocalypse story.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's been no real moments of desperation or horror or violence of any sorts. It's all been humorous, and it's nice. I think it's the first and only time I've ever seen a story of its type be set in a comedic way, apart from really Zombieland. But I mean, that's a zombie movie, that's a completely different thing. We've had comedy horrors before. But what an amazingly clever bit of writing.
Yeah, I mean, and what I liked about the early episodes was the way that Phil adapted to this apocalyptic scenario.
Yeah.
which is any male listeners out there who have been in a relationship where you've lived with a spouse or a partner or what have you, if they go away for a few days,
Yeah.
you do kind of let things go a little bit, and suddenly it's your rules, and you can
regrets.
Absolutely. And if you ramp that up 1,000-fold, that's what Phil does effectively. Suddenly there's no rules. He can do whatever he likes, whenever he likes, however he likes, and he just lives that to the absolute max. And the funny thing is, when you did it as your quick hit, you did say, this is exactly what I would do.
Yeah.
In the event of the apocalypse, you would.
You do all the things that you've never been allowed to do. It's not about being able to do them, because you can do everything he does.
He'd obviously travelled to all the great museums and nicked all the famous art, and therefore this littered his house. He would go into shops and just take all the porn mags, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
And
one episode where
famously, he had the Twinkie fingers, didn't he?
Twinkie fingers
a
is
finger on
brilliant.
each Twinkie. Yes, sorry, a Twinkie on each finger.
A finger on each Twinkie,
Yes,
even.
indeed.
There's one great scene where he's just sitting there wearing the Chicago Bulls, I believe it's the Chicago Bulls basketball kit, which he's obviously stolen from because it doesn't fit him very well.
Right.
He's laying down watching the TV, and he's wearing the basketball outfit.
But he has the margarita pool as well,
which is genius.
Which is just like a little inflatable pool filled with margarita that he just lies in and drinks from. And his toilet, because the water doesn't run, his toilet is him basically drilling a hole in the neighbouring house's diving board and just.
You say drilling, that would be difficult. He's sawed a hole. Drilling a hole would be
so he basically just craps in their pool.
And his poo pool.
And just lives like an absolute slob until
Carol Babasian turns up. What a brilliant name as well. Played by the absolutely astonishingly no one could ever be her, Kristen Schaal.
Yes.
Who people may remember from Flight of the Conchords.
Yes.
I mean, she has obviously done other stuff, but I think she's most memorable from Flight of the Conchords. The moment she turns up, it just completely and utterly turns the whole show on its head, doesn't it? It really does, because you've got final man on Earth, so we believe, and final woman on Earth. The beauty of her character is the fact that she wants to carry on living life in the right way.
Indeed. She is the opposite of him, but in as much as I'd imagine it's probably how it would be with men and women.
Yeah.
Which is, women are far more focused and organised, whereas men are just all about the chaos. Men embrace the chaos, whereas she comes along and says, no, we aren't going to jump stop signs, we aren't going to smash doors, we're going to open them and that sort of thing.
Seatbelts, traffic lights,
So suddenly, everything that he was embracing about it, she was saying, no, we're going to do it this way, including the fact that, thinking that they were the last two people, they need to procreate in order to continue the human race. And she won't do so until they're married.
Yeah,
which I thought was brilliant.
Is brilliant.
And he was like, are you joking?
Yeah. And she's like, no, I'm not joking. But that's a lovely, lovely episode as well. The wedding episode is really good. I just love the... of course I've got the rings. And you just... Even without knowing, you just know he hasn't got the rings, has he? He hasn't bothered at all. I don't really want to say too much to spoil it for those of you who are only sort of like maybe halfway through the season. But, I mean, if you are only halfway through the season, get a move on! Come on, we're on season 2 now.
But then the real dilemma and the way Phil's behaviour takes an absolute nosedive was when a third person shows up.
Yes.
Which is Melissa, played by the absolutely beautiful January Jones.
Indeed.
And of course, they end up finding out because they hit a Hummer, don't they? I think.
Yeah.
Don't they drive into it? And so Phil suddenly realises that he isn't the last person on Earth. There's Carol, who he's now married, thinking she was the last woman on Earth. But then the very beautiful Melissa turns up, and he's driven absolutely crazy by the fact that Melissa's like, oh, I see, so you two are married then, are you? Oh, well, that's nice. And he's absolutely dropped a bollock. And so the next few episodes become about his absolute desire to try and...
bed January Jones, basically.
Have Melissa as well, yes.
So that the immortal lines of when it finally does look like it's going to happen, and there's that brilliant scene on the beach, and he's gone all out, and he's got all the candles and the beds there, and it's a beautiful. And he's taking his shirt off, and she kind of says, "Have you shaved your chest?" And he's like, "Yeah, have you?" This is a silly little throwaway kind of airplane style Zuckerberg
but of
lines
course
like
that backfires terribly for him because he sets off fireworks.
He does.
And throughout the episode, we've been teased by this shot of this sort of very flash sports car driving about, and clearly quite a hunky guy driving this sports car, and you're thinking, oh no, this guy's going to turn up. This guy sees the fireworks, drives over and comes out, and rather than being the hunky guy we were expecting, turns out to be Todd, played by Mel Rodriguez, who is an absolute wonderful character. And funny enough, the only thing I'd ever seen him in before was Better Call Saul.
Yes.
Where he played his sort of...
he's the shill in the alley, isn't he?
Yeah, that's right. His partner in crime, as it were.
Yeah.
And Todd is just a lovely guy.
Yeah.
And, of course, because Phil is married to Carol, Todd and Melissa are therefore naturally drawn together.
Yep, indeed.
Which makes Phil's behaviour even more despicable, because now does he not only want to bed Melissa, but he now wants to get rid of Todd as well.
Wants to kill Todd and have all the women to himself. He is just the most despicably horrible human being in the world.
But yet you can't help feeling for him, because he is the main character, but his behaviour is... Now, one thing that I should point out that we haven't covered yet is, in the first episode, there's an amazing scene where he's watching the film Castaway.
He is indeed, yes.
And, of course, you've got Tom Hanks's character is talking to Wilson, the volleyball, and Phil is saying, oh, for God's sake, Tom, put yourself together. There's absolutely no way you would end up talking to a ball.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it flashes up the sign saying 6 months later, and you've got Phil in a bar surrounded by all kinds of sports balls, volleyballs, snooker balls,
even a
shuttlecock, all of which has faces drawn on them.
Who I believe is Rodrigo.
All of which have individual names, and that is his theme throughout the whole thing. These are his friends, and it's absolutely jaw-droppingly brilliant. So funny.
Yeah, it's I think it's a TV show that's kind of we've needed for a long time. So it doesn't take itself too seriously, yet has such grand scope to go, well, anywhere really. And it can go anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you can bring new characters into it and they can go out just as quickly as we've witnessed with the opening of Season 2, which we probably will touch on very briefly at the end of this. But for me, I think the main thing that does it for me, that we've already touched on, is just the fact of him doing all the things that I'd probably love to do.
Yeah. On his dining room table, he has a massive T-Rex head that he's obviously stolen from a museum.
He has indeed. He has indeed. One of my favourite moments is just a really, really throwaway moment. It's right towards the end of Season 1. It might even be the final episode, in fact, where it just flashes to him in the hallway of his house, and he's got a wood chipper, and he's just putting full tins of paint in it.
And just blowing it on the wall.
Just blowing them on the wall.
Yeah.
But making a point of saying, Carol! I'm putting full tins of paint in the wood chipper because I can. Brilliant. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't do it?
But there's also his version of racquetball.
Racquetball, yeah.
Which is basically him just throwing up about 30 balls and just randomly swinging the racket about. Again, in his hall, in the hallway of his house, and the balls are just flying everywhere.
There are a couple of nice moments, aren't there, throughout the series where you do see Carol. Carol has got some, odd kind of love for him, I think, because there is that moment where he says, Carol, I'm trying to play racquetball with the 30 balls, and she's like, well, I want to play as well. And there, and you can see that it's kind of the foreboding or the foreshadowing rather of her becoming a little bit closer to him, because she's just as mental as him.
Absolutely.
But
my favourite scene and again, this is going to be a massive spoiler, so stop listening now if you intend to watch it and haven't done so, but my favourite scene is where, as I say, Phil's behaviour throughout the whole first, or the vast majority of the first season, was despicable.
Yeah.
But there's one moment where he lets that drop and he just becomes himself. And that is when Melissa comes to find him. He's in his bar and they're talking to each other.
Oh, yeah.
And he just absolutely opens his heart. And she was saying, look, it's quite clear that you're behaving this way. This is obviously after Todd had turned up. Yeah. And he said, look, Melissa, I have to say, I married Carol because I thought she was the last woman alive. However, that was simply through necessity. However, then I met you. And the thing is, I've fallen in love with you. And every moment that I'm awake, I think of nothing else but you. I absolutely adore you.
Yeah.
To me, you are the most perfect person. And you are the person that I would dearly love to spend the rest of my life with. do you think there is any chance you and I could ever be together?
Yeah.
And there's this lovely pause, and she just looks and goes, no.
Yeah.
And it's just like the moment he actually opened himself up and said what he was really thinking, and it's immediately blown out the water.
But
was a wonderful moment.
It's his brilliant kind of way of trying to cover what he's just said afterwards when he says, is exactly what I'd say to Carol.
Precisely.
Like, yeah, that's not covered it at all, Phil. That has not covered it. Towards the end of season 1 as well, we do get a couple more characters coming, but at risk of spoiling it,
yeah,
I don't want to say too much because there's too many amazingly great comedic moments that occur throughout the introduction of these characters. As we said at the top of this, season 2 has now started. It followed on directly on its Monday slot on Dave.
Yeah,
Dave, Channel Dave. Which I must say, they're getting some good shows now, Dave.
Absolutely.
Dave used to be kind of, laughed at, and oh shit if it's on Dave. But well
now
done.
Now it's
them.
laughed at. For the right
reasons. Let's see if we can get some money out of Dave, shall we? See if they want to sponsor me to go to San Diego Comic Con next year for my 40th birthday.
Never letting that one lie.
Never letting it go.
No.
Never letting it go. Well done to all of the people involved in Last Man on Earth, because it was an absolute breath of fresh air.
Very much so. I'm hoping that it will get some form of a DVD or Blu-ray release over here.
It has to, doesn't it?
It definitely deserves it. I mean, the thing is, obviously, they picked up season 1 as season 2 was because we were getting season 1 at 2 episodes a week.
Yeah.
But now we are getting season 2 the day after it airs in the States. So clearly they just show season 1 to get themselves up to speed. But in any way you can watch it, please do, because it is cringeworthy, clever, surprising, but overall just hilariously funny. Just a really, really good show.
Not only has season 1 got, I think, one of the most brilliant final shots, but the opening episode of season 2, I think, bar none, is one of the best season openers I've seen on a show, comedic or serious or otherwise. It is just fucking brilliant.
Yeah, and it's a great shot, but there's a great payoff as well, isn't there? As well,
a great payload payoff.
Yeah. So what you did there.
See what I did. Thank you, Last Man on Earth.
Yes, very, very entertaining. Highly recommended. 2 geek thumbs up. Right. Anything else you want to mention, sir?
There is one more thing. It's just a little bit of a goodbye to someone.
Oh, you don't like goodbyes?
No. Now, I did mean to mention this on the last episode that we did, but it kind of slipped my mind a little bit, and I feel a little bit remiss at doing so. Catherine Coulson is a name that you probably won't recognise.
No.
But she did pass away recently. She was 71 years old. And she is probably best known for playing the Log Lady in Twin Peaks.
Oh, no.
So, farewell, Catherine Coulson. Thank you for being, fucking bonkers, quite clearly.
So what are they going to do with the new series then?
I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means for the new series of Twin Peaks. I do know that it means it's probably not going to feature the Log Lady.
Well, no.
But yeah, I mean, she was a fabulous character.
They could CGI her.
They could CGI her, but use a real log, of course.
Of course,
because that would be ridiculous.
Right.
She was a fantastic character in Twin Peaks.
Bizarre,
she was the most bizarre performance by Catherine Coulson.
In a series of bizarre performances.
In a series, yeah. I mean, to stand out amongst such an enormous amount of bizarrety nut jobs is an amazing job, and she managed to do it pretty well. So farewell, Catherine Coulson.
Oh dear, that's very sad.
It's not to end on a bad note, but
well, you have.
But I have.
Yes.
So everyone, grab a log and give it a cuddle.
Any good news we can end with?
This is the end.
Oh.
But only until next time. Hey! Now get out of here, you crazy kids.
Right, that's it for this episode. So for myself, Graham.
And myself, Scott.
Thanks very much for listening, and we will probably see you next time. You better do.
I will.